Hey everyone, my name's Chef TKO, and today I'm gonna teach you how to make a gingerbread house from scratch, all right? So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be telling you all the basics, basically what we need to start everything out, what the measurements are. This is my personal recipe, and I'm really happy to share this with y'all. I think it tastes absolutely phenomenal, but I could be biased on that. From there, we're gonna move on and show you how to bake it in a normal convection oven or one that you have at home, right? And then we're gonna go into making the correct royal icing, all right? So the first things first, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I've already got our flour measured out. The recipe calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour. We've got 1/4 and 1/4 a teaspoon of salt and baking soda. That's gonna go right in here. I've got 2 teaspoons of ginger, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I've got a 1/2 teaspoon of allspice, and that's it for this part, right? Super simple, super easy. I'm gonna move this just slightly around to get it mixed up a little bit. I'm gonna set that aside. Moving forward, what I really wanna do is I really want to combine my softened butter. This is gonna be our second step, okay? So we're gonna take 6 tablespoons of softened butter, room temperature. I've been having this out probably about all day. From there, I'm gonna go ahead and add 1/2 cup of honey. Get that honey right in there. A lot of people can use molasses, and that's okay as well. It's actually really good because brown sugar is made with molasses. That's what gives it the brown color. Go ahead and get all of that in here. All right. And then, of course, a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, okay? Now, a lot of people ask, why don't you use regular sugar? The reason why is I do think that the brown sugar with the molasses adds a lot more of that sweetness that we're looking for, okay? It's definitely something I like to incorporate. Anytime that I make a baked good, I will always substitute the white sugar with brown sugar, okay? Then you're gonna take 1 large egg at room temperature, crack that right in. Next, we're gonna take 2 tablespoons of water, and I've already got that right here, so we've got 1, 2. That's it. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna move over here to my mixer, and I'm gonna whip this up pretty nicely, all right? So I'm gonna use a paddle attachment. The reason why we're using this one is because this is a very thick dough, and not, if we were to use the actual wire whisk or whip, for example, it's gonna just tear that thing right up. All right, make sure that you do lock it into place, and of course, get it in, get it going. I'd say about a speed 2. It's gonna take about a minute to go ahead and incorporate. Now, once all of this is mixed, we're gonna go ahead and take our dry mixture that we've already kind of somewhat incorporated, and we're going to introduce 1/2 at first, okay? And then we're gonna marry everything together from there. All right. So what you're looking for, the butter's not gonna fully be incorporated. It'll come to about pea size, which is perfect. A lot of people question, well, don't you want the whole thing aerated, incorporated, and whatnot? Honestly, it's gonna be incorporated regardless, and it's gonna come out just fine. All right, this is actually at a perfect consistency that I'm looking for. And what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and get dirty, get my hands in there, and put 1/2 of this in there. Always turn it on the first setting, which is stir, otherwise that flour will go everywhere. And of course, in between, always wash your hands. Sanitation is key. When you are working with anything, meats or eggs or anything like we have been, you always want to sanitize your surface. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do while that's incorporating is I'm gonna go ahead and sanitize my area. All right. Now moving forward, that's been fully incorporated. What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is incorporate and marry the rest of it together, okay? Now again, I'm gonna fully stop it, lift it up, and pour the rest of the ingredients in. All right. Again, stir. And we're gonna mix this for about 5 minutes until the whole thing is fully incorporated. You will know when it is fully incorporated because it will draw itself together and start sticking away from the actual bowl and onto the paddle. Now, at first, I always got questions like, you know, chef, hey, why does it look like this? Why does it look like this? It's not coming together. Give it some time, patience is key. Always talk to your food. It will talk back by coming out perfectly. All right, while that's going on, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and sift the ingredients that I need for my royal icing, all right? Now again, this recipe is actually mine as well. In this, we're gonna use regular convection sugar. This will probably enough to do one gingerbread house with all of the creasings, everything that you need to fully get it. I'm gonna turn this up on 1. Perfect. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 1 cup, 1 1/3 of a cup of convection sugar, and I'm just gonna go ahead and sift it. Sift it right in. It's gonna look like snow. You'll notice that these balls start to form on top. That's normal. I'm getting that everywhere, if that's okay. And it does look like snow. It's kind of cool. It's great for this. This is a really easy recipe that you and your family and your little ones can honestly do pretty quickly. All right, it's gonna look like a little bitty mountain. It looks great. That's done. Moving forward, we're gonna go ahead and use meringue powder. And the reason why I'm using this is because this is an egg white substitute, okay? What this does is it actually aerates and fluffens our royal icing to the consistency that we need without using the egg whites, which is really good because normally we would have to cook the egg whites. But in this case, we don't have to. So 1 tablespoon of this. And then what you're gonna do from there is you're gonna add roughly between 2 to 4 tablespoons of water while you're mixing it, okay? Now the trick with that is you wanna fully incorporate the water, the 1 tablespoon at a time, until you get to the desired consistency that you were looking for. Now the consistency that you were looking for is gonna be that similar to honey, okay? Now, moving forward with that, you want it a little bit thicker than honey, and you can always freeze your royal icing, which will never freeze. And you can hold that for about a week. All right, this is about done. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and take this paddle attachment off. I've got raw eggs in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands real quick. Now, what I will do is once this dough comes out, I will go ahead and separate this into 2 flat discs. Now you can see the consistency is very thick. It doesn't even want to drop. That's exactly what we're looking for, okay? This is enough to make 1 full house. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and separate this into 2 round discs and refrigerate them for roughly 2 hours. And we want the disc to be about 1 inch thick, so I'm gonna take some plastic wrap. I'm gonna take my dough. And I'm going to separate that, put it together. Boom. And that's it. We'll refrigerate this for, like I said, 2 hours. When we come back, we'll go ahead and roll that out in between 2 sheets of parchment paper. This dough is a very sticky dough because of the brown sugar and the honey. So we really don't want it to stick to our counter surface, to our countertops. So that's why we do need the actual parchment. Now in the meantime, I do have my oven set at 350 degrees. And that's going right now. And what we're gonna do after we do all of our cutouts and whatnot, we're going to cook it for 7 minutes approximately, rotate it, not flip it, but rotate, and then cook it for 5 minutes. Moving forward, I'm gonna go ahead and start making my icing. If I can get this on. I'm gonna take a wire whisk. And I'm just gonna stir this real quick together. Again, first one, we've got a powdered substance. But don't want it to fly everywhere. So I'm gonna grab my tablespoon, which is located right here. Grab some water. And again, I said 1 tablespoon at a time. So I'm just gonna drop this right in. And I'm gonna fully incorporate that. Now that being said, this is gonna take about 5 minutes fully to develop. When you think that it's not there, give it some time. Like I said, 5 minutes after about the 2nd tablespoon, you wanna make sure that you do fully incorporate that, otherwise it's really not gonna work. All right. Now I do have my dough from earlier, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and roll this out. You'll notice that I only have 1 disc, but I was working with that earlier, so we're good. I always wrap these so tight. All right. 2 pieces of parchment paper. All right, this is where it's about to get tough. You gotta use those muscles. Before you roll the dough out, you do wanna make sure that you've been having it sit out about room temperature for about 30 minutes, okay? Otherwise, you're giving yourself a really big workout, okay? You're gonna lay the other one right on top. You'll take your rolling pin, and you're just gonna put little divots right in. Notice I'm not using the handles. I'm putting all the force right directly in the middle and on the sides. The reason I am doing this is because we do have that butter and that honey, which makes it pretty unmalleable, if you'll say so, if I do say so myself. And now I'm gonna use my forearms, and I'm going to roll this out. And I'm looking for about 1/4 of an inch thick. Always start from the middle, pull back, but don't overcross that edge, otherwise you'll cause a dip in your dough, and we don't really want that. All right. Now I'm gonna always rotate and move forward from there, okay? Now, the flatter we get this in 1 full setting, the more cutouts we can get at one time. All right, so what you'll notice, I'm flipping and we've got crinkles, right? We really don't want our dough to look like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and reposition. In the meantime, I'm gonna kind of give it a rest and check on my icing. It's coming together. They kind of look like little festive snowballs. So I'm now on my 2nd tablespoon, and I think this will be it. You can hear it? Yeah. Nice. Keep going, like I said, about 5 minutes. And now, I'm gonna go back, and now I'm gonna go ahead and use the handles now that I've gone and I've spread the surface out, right? It'll definitely help if you have an extra set of hands for somebody to hold it. But when you don't, you got it. When you see the paper roll up that way, that means you've enhanced the dough and you've stretched it further, which is perfect. All right, I'm just about there. Just a few more. All right. I'm gonna take a look at my dough. And I'd say that's about 1/4 of an inch thick, and that's pretty perfect. So like I said, I really don't want those crinkles, so I'm gonna flip it back over one more time. Take this off. Reposition, and just smooth it out. Without rolling it, without doing anything, I just wanna really smooth that out. All right. From there, our icing's perfect, y'all. It's perfect. Look at how great this is. Now, Moving forward, what we're gonna go ahead and do with this icing is I'm gonna go ahead and let it rest. But since I'm not using it just yet, look at how beautiful that is. It's a little thicker than the honey, but once you warm it up a little bit, it's a really, really, really good icing. That little sheen right there, this is perfect. This is my little ball. This is great, okay? Now, this is a royal icing. That being said, it's going to harden fairly quickly within about 30 to 45 minutes. Fully hardening within 2 to 5 hours. When you're not using it, take a damp cloth. And put it over the top. Because we want to leave that moisture in there to keep it fresh. Or I could go ahead and freeze it like I was talking about earlier. Moving forward, we're gonna move on to our cutting out. So I've got a little bit of flour here. And with that, I just need bare minimum of it because I did purchase these 18-piece gingerbread house kit for I think $13 offline. Now we've got different shapes, many different shapes. We've got our front. We do have our roof. Do notice that it is a larger rectangle than the sides, okay? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna take my butcher paper off, or parchment, get rid of that. Now remember, we do wanna work smart, not hard. So, I'm not gonna do any transferring from here to another sheet pan or anything. And I'm gonna show you my trick on what I'm gonna do and how we're gonna cook this. Take just the bare minimum right inside, tap it off, position, hold down, and just wiggle right around a little bit. Perfect cut. I can see that it's got a really good thickness to it. It's exactly what I'm looking for. And I need 2 of these, right? Because we have a front, we have a back. Always cut to where you can fit the most in, okay? Think of it like Tetris. All right, so I'm done with this one, right? I think I can fit 2 of these, 2 of the walls. So we'll go ahead and put that right there. It's very important to not get a lot of flour once your dough is already mixed because it will not come out nor come off. All right, I have just enough room, but you know what? I think I can fit a chimney on here as well. All right, you'll notice that this is gonna be the chimney side. We need 2 of those. And then 1 more side to the chimney. And 1 more side to the chimney. Do you think I can fit that? Yep. All right, this dough is perfect, especially for, give me 1 second, pulling this up. You'll notice that it is sticky, but if you leave it out to the appropriate amount of time, you will be able to take this and lift it directly away. If it is made correctly, you will have no issue with it. All right, so I'm gonna finish this all the way around. This little tool that I'm using, it's a cake spat. It's or spatula for icing. It is very, very, very handy. It keeps your lines crisp and just definitely helps out big time. It's definitely a kitchen utensil I would recommend having at all times. Now keep going. Be gentle with it, otherwise I shake a lot, so I get fussy with it, but that's okay. All right, now you'll notice that I have all this leftover dough, right? I still need to make my roof. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ball this back up. We're gonna roll it back out, and that's how that's gonna work, okay? I am gonna set that aside. Now, here's the trick. I need to put this in the oven at 350 for 7 minutes, right? Simply take your sheet pan, Done. Now I'm gonna walk it over here. I'm gonna put it on the middle rack. Now a really good trick to note is if you have a convection oven with a moving fan, always put down a paperweight so it does not fold over. It is very important to do this as well because it will hurt and ruin all of the hard work that you've been working on, okay? Now, one thing to note that when you take your cookies actually out of the oven, your pieces, always take them off the hot tray because if you don't, they'll continue to cook, okay? And the edges will continue to curl and then you'll get a wonky house. We don't really want that. All right. Now, after a lot of finagling, this is what it will come out to look like, okay? And I would say that that's pretty darn good if I do say so myself. So you'll notice that what I've done here is I've got my two roofs. Always make sure to set the timer. I've got two roofs, I've got two sides. In this case, I did put my door on the side. And then I've got my front and back, okay? And these are little characters that I was messing around with just to see what we can do. Now what you're gonna wanna do is get a piping bag because now we're going to simply assemble it. The trick with piping bags, always get a cup. You know, there's gonna be those times where you need a second pair of hands. In this case, the cup is your second pair of hands, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my icing from earlier. I'm just gonna dab a little bit off of that. Stick that in there. No, I don't really need that much. All I need is probably gonna be it, right? Take that, take it off. And what did I say before? Always cover it when you're not using it. Get all the air out of your piping bag. It's very important for that. We'll squish it down. Now, a lot of people, they try to do a very thin line, you know, because they don't want people to see it and they want it to be crisp and clean and clear. Here's the thing, it's supposed to be snow. It's supposed to look like that. Go crazy with it. You need to put as much as simply possible on it. That way it works and it can stay together and you're not messing around. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test my icing out, look at the actual consistency, and we're good. This is it. All you're gonna do is simply take, for instance, the back of my house, right? Make sure you always glue the bottoms down. And what I'm gonna do is this is gonna be my side, so I wanna do it on the interior line, okay? Because this piece will meet that piece, okay? I'm gonna set that down for a second, and now I'm gonna move on to this piece, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing, put it on the bottom. And then I'm also going to put it on the side that's touching the other icing as well. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So you'll notice I've got it on the bottom and on the side. I will take this, I will piece it together, and simply, boom. What you'll do after that is you'll finish everything else. Do exactly like that. Piece it all together, put the roof on, wait about 30 to 45 minutes when putting the roof on because you really don't want to stress the foundation out, as you want to call it, and that's it. From there, I would let it rest overnight, and moving forward, I'll take a crusting buttercream, which is, the difference with that is it's made with shortening as well. It adds a really nice crustiness to the top, which is really good with finishing with the decorations, okay? So moving forward with that's pretty simple, pretty much it, all right? So thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this easy recipe, and I hope that you have fun with your family. Even if you do this by yourself, I'll tell you, it is so much fun, and it does not take that long, as you can see. All right, have a great day. All right, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below telling me what you enjoyed, what you found interesting, and just also leave a comment and let us know what you would like to see next. That way we can go ahead and see what we can do for you. All right, as always, Chef TKO, be happy to be in your kitchen. Bye.